If you've been watching my channel, you know me as a real estate agent and investor. Before I got into real estate, I worked in corporate finance. Over the years working in real estate, I've helped a lot of families and investors buy homes and rental properties. But something that I started noticing was that many people were not financially positioned to buy their first home, even though they wanted to, let alone an investment property. Most people are working hard and they're doing well in their careers, but they often don't know where to begin when it comes to structuring their personal finances. I started asking them questions during our initial consultations like, do you have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund? Are you participating in a 401k with your employer? Do you have a Roth IRA? Do you have a 529 plan for your kids? And do you have a savings plan that is consistently growing your net worth? What I found was most people either did not know where to start or felt kind of intimidated about the whole topic itself. The reality of it is personal finance is really not as complicated as it may sound. But when basic structure is missing, it can create a very common situation that I see, and that is people make money and then they start making more money, but then they're just spending more money the whole time. This is a concept that they're calling lifestyle creep right now, all right? And I see it a lot in the real estate industry because I work with real estate agents that make 100K a year, 200K a year, 300K a year, even more. What I notice is they're spending 100K, 200K, 300K a year. When you look at it, they're just kind of at a higher level of paycheck to paycheck living. In our industry, a lot of people are spending a lot of money on cars and living a lifestyle to present this image to show people that they're successful and things like that too. But what they're really doing is they're just living paycheck to paycheck, just at different levels. For a real estate agent, there can be some really good years like 2021 where they're making hundreds of thousands. And then when the interest rates went up and sales slowed down and they're not making the same money that they used to make, but they're still living the same lifestyle that they were making that much money, that's going to become a problem. You start getting pressure, you start worrying about your next deal or escrow. And some people are even in more pressure if they don't have like an emergency fund, and then they're having to do DoorDash or drive Uber. Plus, I hear feet pics are just not selling what they used to. So, I mean, you don't want to be in that situation. In that environment, you can make hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars, but if you have nothing saved from all of that, you're just at square one again. If your goal is for long-term financial freedom, you can't just rely on your employer or the government to take care of your retirement. And if you're self-employed, you really can't rely on any of those people. You are responsible for that yourself. And it's never been more true than right now in 2026. We're seeing employee pensions and Social Security disappear right in front of our eyes. Understanding these fundamentals are more important than ever. I actually really enjoy helping my clients build their financial foundation first. Retirement accounts, education savings, and investing basics, so later on, purchasing real estate becomes a realistic option. It starts with discipline so you can actually build capital. That's why this series exists. Hi, welcome to Invest with Jim. I'm Jim. I'm a real estate agent and investor. But in this series, we're not talking about real estate. We're talking about personal finance and investing, which is the financial foundation that people build long before they start buying properties. There are 5 areas that tend to matter the most when people are building capital so they can start investing in real estate. Step 1, it starts with a budget. I mean, it sounds easy, but this is a step that most people try to skip and then get stuck in the cycle of not being able to get ahead. You need to know how much money is coming in. You need to know how much money is going out, where it's going. How much are you saving? And do you have debt that needs to be paid down? And of course, are you investing? A lot of times people, when they talk about budgeting, they're just looking at their bank balance. If there's money in the bank, I'm doing okay. When the balance is low, then they start tightening up. This is not how you're gonna get ahead, and definitely this is not how investors think. Step 2 is financial stability. That begins with having an emergency reserve. Ideally, you wanna have about 3 to 6 months of like an emergency fund. So whatever you're spending every month, you should have 3 to 6 months of that saved in case something happens. Generally, you should probably have this in like a high yield savings where you're making a small return, but it's very liquid so you can access it very easily, not like a CD or something that's like locked up and you can't access. And having those reserves is not just about comfort. It just is to protect you so you have options if something comes up and you have a big expense and you're not caught there with no money and then you're having to do things to make ends meet. For example, my friend, 2 years ago, she was let go by her employer. Business was not doing as well, so they had to fire her or lay her off. The thing was, she had some savings in the bank, which gave her options. She didn't have to rush and go do another job right away just because she didn't have any savings. She was able to kind of wait for the right opportunity to come around, aligned with what she wanted to do and where she wanted to take her career. So having those reserves gave her that freedom to choose what she wants to do next. Whereas there's the other scenario of no reserves. I've known many people throughout my years, maybe they worked at a job that they did not enjoy anymore, right? Like they were working at a call center or something like that. They hated the job, they've been there for 10 years, and then all of a sudden a merger happened or something like that. They're laid off. Now they have no reserves, they have no savings, and now they're thinking, oh, what do I do now? And what happens? They end up finding another job similar to the previous one, say at another call center, because they're already qualified for that job and they're gonna make similar pay as before too. Now you're stuck in the cycle of now getting another job that you disliked and you are finding ways to try to get out of it. Now you're just pulled right back in. And that happens because you don't have reserves. Another piece of this equation is managing your debt. Do you have high interest debt like credit cards? Because if you have a really high interest rate on, say, a credit card and you're just paying off interest every month on that, that's gonna consume a lot of your actual income or disposable income, and you're just paying interest now. High interest debt will quietly consume a lot of your money, which is preventing you from building long-term wealth. It's just really important for you to understand your monthly financial picture. I often ask people, do you know your monthly burn rate? Meaning that's how much money you spend every month to keep the household going, more or less. Those are all your bills: rent, car payment, utilities, phone, things like that. Because if you don't even know that number, then you don't know how much you need to make. You don't know how much you have left to save or invest or pay down some of those high interest debts. Financial stability creates flexibility. It allows people to make long-term decisions and not have to react to short-term financial pressure. Step 3 is to take advantage of the financial accounts that already exist. Before someone tries to start doing all these fancy investments, there are already very sound financial instruments that people can use to build wealth. One example is, say, like a Roth IRA. Most people know the basic idea, right? You invest after-tax money, it grows, and then when you spend that money in retirement, it's tax-free. That's the big advantage of this one. What most people don't realize is they think that, oh, how am I going to get rich on that? Well, it really grows a lot over time if you're consistent and you're saving and you're investing it and it's growing in the market. That's the power of compounding. If you're able to save and max out like a Roth IRA and contribute and invest every month on this, and you do this over the course of, say, 20, 30 years, and all those gains that you make, you get to use and spend and withdraw tax-free in your retirement. While we're talking about retirement, another easily overlooked account is the good old 401k, right? So if you work for an employer that offers a 401k to you, you should take advantage of it. I think a lot of employers still offer some type of little match situation, right? Meaning if you contribute some money, they'll match you that amount up to a certain amount usually. Look at that as, why not take the free money, right? Maybe you make $60,000 a year, employer matches you 4%. Well, that's $2,400. So that means if you invest your $2,400, your employer is going to match you and give you another $2,400. You instantly doubled your money right there too. There's very few investments that give you 100% return guaranteed like this. I'm a parent, so I talk to other parents, and a lot of parents, or most parents, often want to save a little money or help their kids out when they're starting college and starting out in life. And they're just saving it in like these non-interest bearing accounts, or maybe very low interest bearing, like 1% or less. That's leaving money on the table that way, right? A 529 plan is an account that you get to save for your kids' education. It's tax deductible. So money that you put into these accounts are not taxed, and then they grow in the market for your kids to use when they're ready to start college. And then when they use that money, it's not taxed either, right? It makes a lot of sense to do. And if they don't go to college, you can use this towards like trade schools and other education like that as well. If that's really not in your kid's future, you can actually roll a 529 into a Roth IRA for your kid when they turn 18. As a parent, throughout the years, my kids have been invited to some very over-the-top birthday parties, right? We're talking, tea parties, indoor plays. If you're down to spend money on your kids, you should definitely spend money on your kids in this way, because it's going to grow and it's going to help them financially big time in the future. Quit buying them the new iPhone, put it in a 529. I'm telling you. Another account that I really believe in is an HSA account, which is a health spending account. Not everyone qualifies for this, but if you have a very high deductible health insurance plan, then you probably do qualify for this. And what's great about this plan is your contributions to this account are also tax deductible, all right? And then you put it in the market and it grows. And when you use this money to spend on medical expenses, those are tax-free spendings that you have too, right? And let's just say you don't have a lot of medical issues or anything. Well, it's all good because you could still contribute to this account. It's tax deductible, and then it grows tax-free as you use it for medical things. And then later on, if you don't use it, it's still growing in the market anyways, and it's going to be money that you can spend in your future. So the goal is not complexity. The goal is to grow your net worth and use these tools that they have already given to us to grow our wealth. Fourth step is to build your capital over time intentionally. Once somebody has stability and they're using their retirement savings plans effectively, the next step is to start building wealth or capital through investment. A lot of people think that investing is complicated, but in reality, long-term long-term wealth creation or building is just through consistency. It's not about trying to time the market and buy this stock and that stock. It's just about consistently saving every month and then investing that money in something that grows. And you can do that by just investing in diversified portfolios, all right? Or like index funds and things like that too. You don't want to just pick one stock because that's like kind of a gamble, right? But if you just put it in the market, we'll say, it should grow over time consistently. This is the whole compounding thing again. It's just save a little bit consistently and you'd be surprised how these little things can just build over time. And now we're on to step 5, preparing yourself financially to start investing in real estate. This is where I find a lot of people have struggles, right? They think they're doing well and they want to buy a house. They start looking at homes. When time comes to apply for a mortgage, they don't qualify or they don't have enough down payment or they have too much debt and their debt to income ratio is out of whack and they can't qualify for the house they want to buy. We got to get our foundation set first. When applying for that mortgage, the lenders often look at first thing being credit history. If you're carrying a bunch of debt, that's going to affect your debt to income ratio. It's going to affect how much you can actually borrow, right? If you're rolling a bunch of credit card debt, they're going to qualify you for less money because you have these credit card bills to pay every month. Lenders are also going to consider your savings patterns, right? If you're consistently saving, you're building money, they're going to see that you have reserves. So that makes you a more safe person to lend to, right? If you're saving, you have money on the side, they're going to worry less about you repaying this mortgage, right? That's going to help you as well too. Not to mention, if you get a mortgage, chances are you're going to need some type of down payment or at least money to pay towards closing costs too. So having extra money is always going to help. In my experience, most people that invest in real estate seldom lose money because they invested in the wrong property. It's really that they're not ready to take advantage of opportunities when they arise. Because if someone has a strong financial foundation, when an opportunity arises, they're able to act because they have the money and the credit and the ability to do this right away, right? So, I mean, I hear this all the time. Oh, I wish I would have bought in 2010 when homes were so cheap. Maybe they even wanted to buy in 2020 when interest rates were so low. If you don't have money saved and you don't have the credit, then you're not going to be able to take advantage of these opportunities. Do you want to miss another opportunity to make it big in real estate? Are you getting ready for the next turn? Or are you going to miss that one too? When you take a step back and look at long-term financial progress, it basically comes down to structure and consistency. Income alone is not the major factor that helps people build long-term wealth, actually. I mean, we hear stories of it all the time. A dude that works at the post office is like a multi-millionaire, right? And then you got this doctor that is filing bankruptcy because he's living too large. The individuals that build wealth most consistently usually are the ones that follow a clear process and remain disciplined of this process over many years. One way of doing that is using automation. I mean, we're in the AI age. You don't have to actively think about what you're doing every month. Automate it and set it, not forget it, but let it do the work for you so you don't forget it. Real estate is just one way that people build wealth over time. But usually this comes later on in the process once someone has built their financial foundation. I've worked with a lot of investors over the years, right? And all of them all work off budget. They're very numbers driven. They know where their money is coming from. They know how much they can spend. They know what they're investing in so the money grows for them over time. You'd be surprised. I've worked with a lot of high net worth people. They have regular jobs. They're just structured. They set up all the regular things. They're living within their means. They're building wealth big time. Most people don't get the shortcuts. I mean, occasionally someone hits it big, invents something. Maybe they're a professional athlete or an entertainer or something like that, but that's not normal people. Normal people need structure, discipline, and consistency. This video is just a starting point. Future videos, I'm going to take a deep dive in each of these topics and get into the nitty-gritty of all of it so you can better understand them. And if there's specific topics that you want me to cover in this series, just drop a comment below. I'd be glad to cover that for you. And if you're interested in real estate investing, I put together a free investing guide. It explains how we evaluate deals and analyze investment opportunities. You can download that, the link below in the description, and I promise you I'm not setting you up to try to slang you some cryptos, although an Invest with Jim coin does sound kind of cool. If you want to continue building this foundation step by step, hit like and subscribe, and share this video with someone else that should hear this video and learn about these things. If you're interested in just kind of talking about your scenario, reach out to me, schedule an appointment. I'd be glad to talk to you about it and just kind of, get you started. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.